What's up, guys? I got a actual barn find. It was in a coworker's barn. It's his father-in-law's, and he just walked in the barn one day and saw this and ended up telling his father-in-law that I like to fix this stuff up, and asked him if he wanted to get rid of it because he has a bunch of stuff. He actually has another tractor that I would really like to get, and that'll be a future video. And it's about 10 years older than this one, to put it in perspective. I don't want to say what it is. If you want to watch it, subscribe and also like the video, and that'll help me keep this stuff going. But I got ahead of myself again. I had family over, so I didn't record anything. I just got it here, rolled it into this spot, and these screws are out for the dash panel. Took those screws out and pulled the tank, and I got a new line up to the pump. I blew in this line a little bit and got the pump freed up, so it's pumping fuel. I haven't taken the carburetor off. I took the points cover off, cleaned the points, and it has spark. It has good spark, so everything works. He said when he parked it, it worked. He just got new equipment. Probably a full-size tractor because they have like 70 acres or something. But anyways, yep, it ran when it parked. I noticed when I was cranking it, it kept blowing the dipstick tube out. So I don't know if the rings are stuck. I would spray, a little bit of my starter fluid, brake cleaner. I know it's not good for it, but I'm not dousing it in there. I just wanted to see if it had spark, and it fired off. So once I get the carburetor cleaned out, I need to hook up jumper cables because I left the key on. But it's a brand new battery. I didn't have a date on this battery to see when it last ran. It's not written anywhere. There's no sticker. Everything works great. It cranks over. All the pulleys and stuff still move. Like I said, it was a barn find. It was an actual barn. It wasn't rained on. So once I get everything going, I think it'll work just fine, actually. Nothing seized up. All the levers, pulleys, everything works. It's kind of crazy, actually. That's the throttle lever. Here's the PTO engagement for the deck. When it goes forward, the clutch under the seat engages. I'll have more on that stuff once I get it fired up. I don't want to do anything until I have it fired up and see if it runs and stuff. And he actually does have a few more of these Kohlers. I don't know if they're the 301s or what model they are, but they're just sitting in the barn. So if this one doesn't work, he wants to get rid of the stuff, and I might end up getting another one. And for the other tractor, I believe it might not be a 301, it might be the 241 or whatever the other sizes is, the 10 horsepower model. There's more engines in the barn, so I guess I'll hook the jumper cables up and let that sit for a minute while I'm tinkering with the carburetor and see if I can get the carburetor cleared out. Let's get to it. All right, so I got the carburetor off, and as you can see, it is filthy. The tank didn't have any fuel in it, but I guess there was some still in the carb when he parked it. I'm gonna get this cleaned up. I have a set of little brushes and stuff to try and clean the jets out. I have air, so I don't know if this is a factory carb, but I'd rather use this than the Chinese ones. And I don't know where to find factory carb. Maybe somebody rebuilds them or something. But as you can see, I got fuel to the carb because this would be dry otherwise. I just need to clean it out and get these jets sprayed out and see what happens. All right, I got the carburetor cleaned up pretty good. All the jets are free. The float stopper the needle, whatever, is free in there. That's cleaned off, so it should seat well. And I had to solder the float with the wrong stuff, but as I was soldering it, the flame stopped shooting out because there's a little tiny bit of fuel in here. The flame stopped shooting out, so I know it's sealed up, at least airtight, maybe. But there was a small hole here, and the seam here started to come apart. So I'm gonna get that back together and see what happens. All right, I got the carburetor back on. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did spray WD-40 down in the hole. Like I said, those rings seems like they're not seated, or like they're locked up or something. So there's a ton of blow by. Maybe there's a problem internally. If it keeps happening, I get it started up and running, and it still has a ton of blow by after it runs for a bit, then probably pull the head off and check the piston and make sure there's not cracked or anything crazy. But let's get that hole cleared out. It's definitely spinning over good. I'll spin it over just a little bit more to see if we can get some fuel in the carburetor. All right, that should be good because it is the level is above here, so it's actually flowing pretty well. Carburetor should be filling up quickly. That's back on there. I had the choke all the way out, so let's choke it. Might take a minute, but let's see if we can get any popping or banging going. Damn, I said a minute. That was pretty quick. Seems to be shooting fuel out, so I don't know if that float is working or not, if I got it sealed up good. But it does pop and bang, so I'll keep tinkering with it. See, it blew the dipstick right back out. Well, it's running. All right, y'all, I got the exhaust on. I had it running. I'll put a short clip in here. But after I shut it off, it wouldn't start again. And that was after it kind of went through a small heat cycle. So I took the head off and the head gasket was leaking. That's why there's oil coming from up here, or it's mostly gas. There was a lot of gas left in there because it ended up flooding because it didn't want to start again. I got a carburetor from Amazon because I couldn't get the original carburetor. I couldn't get the pilot out. It locked up in there, so I just put that on there, and it was working pretty good. So I don't think that's the problem. I got new points, new spark plug, new head gasket on the way. It did seem to have a slightly weak spark, so hopefully that fixes that. As you can see, I got the gas tank zip tied down, but I'm gonna end up either putting wire on there or finding the biggest O-ring I can find to stretch over it and hold it down good. Another problem I'm running into is there's a bearing that goes in here. This doesn't go there, but there's a bearing that goes in here and it was completely gone. As you can see, there's a snap ring on there, and I was either going to put that there, but that's too small. I could weld it and then put a grease fitting, and then that'll hold it from having a whole bunch of slop, but I'll find something. Or I can get one of those bearings from Tractor Supply, and I believe this is a 3/4 inch shaft, so I can get a 3/4 inch bearing and mount it to the bottom side and put this cover plate back on so it looks nice. But we'll see when that point comes. I want to get the head gasket in and the new points, new spark plug, and try and get it running again. I took the battery off, put it on the charger. Not that one, that's the bad one. All right, I don't know if I got it on video, but here is the cylinder. There's no gouging or anything. There is slight wear, and the piston has a bit of play in it, but we're gonna see if we can get it going like that. I did put brake clean or WD-40 or whatever I used in the valve right here to make sure that the seat is good and it held. So I'm gonna get the head side cleaned up and change the head gasket. As you can see, this side was clean and then this side was pretty dirty, and I did clean this off, but as you can see, it looks like this whole side was about blown out and the bolts weren't to spec. So let's get the new one on there. I got it running. It took about 2 or 3 minutes for it to stop smoking. It still got blow by, you can see. Oh, that's it for now. As you can see, it's got a full heat cycle, so I'm gonna torque the head and drain the oil, and then put some new stuff in it and see how that goes. All right, y'all, I got done to it. What I'm gonna do to it pretty much, I just ran it. I'll insert a little clip of it cutting. I mean, it runs and drives pretty good. I adjusted, I don't know what they call these. It's not the same thing as a variator, but whatever this rear end is called, I had to adjust it because in neutral, it would sit on the brake. I guess there's a brake right here. I had to back that off a little bit so it wouldn't spin, and then adjust this rod. Don't really know what I was doing, but it worked. I got to adjust it to where it would stop spinning when the variator type deal is in neutral. I just got some spare tires I had on here. They're actually Craftsman wheels, so they have bushings and not bearings, but I have the factory wheels set aside for it. That's pretty much it. I mean, I might sell it as is, If somebody wants to buy it, then they can go ahead and buy it. The only thing that I didn't finish that I wanted to is putting a bearing under here. And if somebody doesn't buy it, I'll just keep doing small little things like that to it. Get a bearing put in here and possibly weld this steering shaft up. Right here, it's supposed to be bolted, but up top, the collar that goes on there is not tight, so it has that little bit of play. But other than that, everything runs great. I had to put a little plug here, actually 2 plugs. I don't know what punctured it, but it's pretty big. But I guess that's pretty much it for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll have more of these videos and stuff, of course, as I keep doing this. So if you like it, subscribe. I don't know if I mentioned, but I did have to replace the starter. This is a used starter off of a 321, but they're all the same thing. And I need to rebuild the starter off of that. Spider was on me. So I can get that 321 running and have a spare engine for if I ever come across one like this again. I'm not going to replace this one. It runs well. It just smokes at lower RPMs and when you rev it up. So it needs to be gone through, maybe piston rings and stuff like that. But it runs good. Somebody might buy it.